Okay, video. It's kind of beyond the comments, but I guess I'll do a personal indulgence first. Yeah, it looks like I have to get a new motherboard for the computer, so I just figure I'll seek some advice, just because I couldn't find an exact copy of this motherboard on eBay, which was irritating. Not under $100 anyway, which is fuck that. Yeah, I'm looking like 25 bucks kind of range. Anyway, so what I would like, I mean, what it has that's nice. I want to have an AGP, AGP socket. Just I got a graphics card that I might as well use, right? So, and I guess I'd like to have the IDE port and an STI, right? STA, SA. We know what it is. I'll tell you, the hard drive thing. I would like both options actually. It's a preference, but I know that's probably going to be harder to get. It's not vital, so that one I can sacrifice. It needs to have a AM2 socket. Yeah, and so it's an AMD processor. Dual core, I believe. I should have got these specs somewhere. But anyway, what else do I need? Oh, it has to be that micro size, not the full size board, just a little. But a lot of them are that size now. And what else do I need? Yeah, that's really it, I think. So anyway, if anybody has a suggestion or a link or something to something cheap and good, great. I have 2 sticks of 2 gig RAM. It's like whatever that DDD2 400 crap or whatever, something like that. yeah. There's really good specifics. So anyway, yeah. I mean, it's a M. What's the number? Let's see the exact configuration. I just give you the. It's the chipset is a K8M800 micro AM2, and yeah, I guess the key feature is the APG slot. Because most of them don't have that, obviously. So anyway, that's where I am right now. I was just hoping I could just get a used one and be done with it, but no such luck. I have to keep looking. Well, anyway, yeah, and I figured out what was wrong, because that's, why didn't I get to the point? I found a swollen capacitor right next to the IDE slot. Sort of a giveaway, right? Yeah, so that's probably the problem, and I really don't think it's much point in cutting it out and soldering a new one on, so I'm not going to bother with that crap. Because it's probably, fuck it. I'm too lazy. So not even I'm too lazy. I have to maximize my time. I have important people to argue with. I have important arguments to make to people who suck. Something more like that. Anyway, so on to the comments. I'm on this page. I might as well do these first. I would have saved them for later, but it's kind of more fun to wait till I get a good visceral anger going. But I'll try not to be angry. Just try not to be. But people are just so petty. There's something here. I don't know what this person. I'll do this person first. This Roger guy with the chick as an icon. Has some category with these religion videos. So it had originally posted some kind of comment. Which is sort of insulting to me, but flattering away. Lion-haired monster man or something. But just conceding that my video on religion was a really good video, and have to like it, and have to do this, and have to put it part of this little thing. And then they undid that. They deleted the comment, and undid the like, and unlinked the video. And I'm assuming it's because of the video where, I get a little bit irritated by these skanky cunts who, on every opportunity they have, they make some skanky remark. And this is, like I said, this is in people's faces. It's right on videos. where somebody has to actually click on my videos to hear my commentary. They're not going to hear me saying this shit unless they go to find it. It's not going to be in their face. My commentary isn't that direct, where their insults are that direct. And, these people can't figure that out. And that's really irritating, because I have no obligation to be respectful or decent to these slandering bastards. I mean, these people are just petty fucking weasels. They can't make a coherent argument against anything I say. All they can do is slander. So anyway, here's Karen again. The secret, in my humble opinion, is to go through the ugly side of things. Don't treat it lightly, except as lightly as she thinks is appropriate. It's just hilarious, right? You could just say this about being having cancer, or you could say it about any subject. You just use this rhetoric, like you're saying, well, don't be insulting, but just be insulting. I mean, don't be insulting, be insulting. Anyway. Actually, look at the horrible things we gloss over and ignore, and then gloss over and ignore them. And especially the ones that are more horrible than you wish to look at. Yeah, I mean, this is just such mush. Know that a sadistic lunatic could have this same policy and just change the standards. I mean, it's just useless. Know that they matter a lot, except not enough to care about, or not enough to say, gee, this is really bad. If we don't do better than this, we shouldn't play this game. So just do it a lot, but not too much. Yes, a lot is good, but too much is bad. And then do your best to know the worst and yet hope for the best. So there we go. I mean, the whole, my video was just, it had the word hope all over it, as, that's no difference than faith. So you might as well be just talking religion. Let's all just hope the world better. Oh, yes, if we all hold hands and hope together, we can change the world, because the magic Hoperites will hear us, and they'll answer our hopes. Oh, this is just so hilarious. Or see the ugliest for what it is. That's to Contabod's reply, which basically means, or just ignore it. Yes, label it, put the word ugly on it, but give no meaning whatsoever to these words. That would be silly. To take anything seriously? Oh, come on. So anyway, Cameron had to add some stuff. Yes, seeing life ugliness is critical for an understanding of the world. Except don't see any more than I say you should see. And don't think ugliness matters any more than I say it matters. So yes, it matters that animals die in slaughterhouses, but it doesn't matter that 10 times, 100 times, 1,000,000 times more die much more horribly in nature. Nature's okay. It's allowed to slaughter because it's dumb, stupid forces, and we love it. Or something like that. But it's also critical to see the ugliness is not the whole of sentient life. Well, so isn't that the standard bullshit response? Like somehow, if you're critical of the function, if you say the car isn't efficient enough, that means you're not valuing anything it's doing at all. If you say if your neighbors are making too much noise, it means you're saying your neighbors are the most evil bastards on earth and they have no function whatsoever. I mean, if Albert Einstein farts, oh, that's it. Albert Einstein, kill him, shoot him. He's not worth anything. No, that's not the argument. And these people, God well know it. God well know it. That's not a phrase that should be coming out of my mouth. It must be their fault. The hope word did that to me. Those who insist that life's ugliness is the only factor worth considering. And who does that? Who the fuck does that? Who? Go quote the argument somebody's made where they have said it's the only factor worth considering. They're just pointing out that, well, it is true that if nobody needs what you're producing, then you probably shouldn't be producing it. That's just a fact. I mean, if you're making whatever, because have a inside-out dogs. Yeah, nobody wants an inside-out dog. Whatever the thing is. I mean, I'm batteries that produce, I don't know, 973 volts or something. They electrocute you every time you pick one up. It gives you a heart attack. Yeah, nobody's going to want one. Okay. Can have worth considering, have a truncated, simplistic, defensive view of life, in my opinion. So they always put that little, in my humble opinion. Like that makes it different somehow. Like I'm asserting something, I'm calling them simplistic and defensive. I'm making accusations, but I'm just turning them into my humble opinion, so it's okay. So anyway, so I mean, you can just see the simplistic nature, the truncatedness of, let's hope for the best. That'll solve the problem. Just hilarious. So anyway, I think there was something interesting here. This Carla, crazy Carla. Religion attempts to give people an orientation, a worldview to live by. Well, yeah, everybody's already talked about the fact that it's about describing, the game we're playing. So yes, everybody said that. So you're not adding anything to the conversation with that. The purpose of science, however, is not to implant a worldview in people's minds that orients them. Well, again, yes, the purpose is to discover the game matrix, to describe the maze we are in. That's going to have prescriptions written all over it. Yeah, it really is. Scientists know that nuclear power plants that melt down is not a good idea. They know that. Scientific theories' descriptions have ultimately the purpose of being mind tools, enabling us to control natural processes. So she sees this as some sort of, we need to control natural processes. We don't need to control what? Human processes? Well, what processes are outside of this realm of science being usable? But that's not its first purpose is just the discovery itself. Most scientists, especially in the past, were not too obsessed with utility, immediate utility. They just knew that learning was good, that learning likely would give you power to control, and that's good. But their objective was, how does it work? What's it doing? What's it made out of? Their primary focus was the discovery itself. They do not have the purpose of controlling people's behavior. Well, you'll find many scientists quite capable of understanding the need for barriers to irresponsibility. I'm sure they understand what prisons are. I'm sure they understand the mechanics of systems. And so again, you're saying scientists have no right to analyze economies or analyze social constructs. Of course they do. It is merely the philosophers who take scientific theories and put their worldview on top of it. Well, another backward way of looking at it. I think their worldview has been created by their philosophy. So it's kind of silly, in my opinion, to write it backwards like that. Their discovery, their perception of reality is defining their worldview. Science gives power to people. Again with this power word. See, these are the Nietzscheans, all obsessed with this power shit. Science gives power to people. Philosophy and religion can either be used to empower people or to exert power over them. Again, both can be used. But religion is nonsense. So it can only be used on people who are subject to nonsense. Just like advertising only works on imbeciles. It's the same kind of fact. Smart people aren't going to buy insurance because a lizard told them to. And only dumb people are going to be persuaded to follow a silly theory of function. Purpose of science, however, is not to implant a worldview in the minds to orient them. It's not me you need to tell that to. Wink, wink. So he finds the idea of rationally describing a maze, describing the trapdoors, describing the mechanisms of function, doing the Freudian thing and explaining your psychology and how you're wound up like a little toy and how you winkety-dinkety bang off the walls as you navigate the world, that somehow describing that, okay, is a taboo. It's not the purpose of the discovery. You're not allowed to discover things about the nature of the selfish creep. I think you are allowed to discover things about them. You are allowed to explore their delusions and misperceptions and use those as explanations for why they're doing things that are preposterously stupid. So anyway. Alright, here we go. This is always good. This is the definition of science. Who cares? I mean, dictionary definition. Google defines science as. I mean, all right. The intellectual and practical activity of encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical world. Why don't they just say the study of the system of physical and natural world? Yeah, through observation and experiment. We only know the physical and metaphysical world through the medium of our experiences. So again, he's breaking everything down to experiences, and somehow experiences aren't of any value. We don't know the world isn't really flat because we can only do it through some experience. So even though we landed on the moon may still be made out of cheese or some other bullshit. I mean, this is just the typical standard operating procedure. He's a religious kook. He wants to rationalize excuses for being ignorant and delusional because he likes being ignorant and delusional. Some experiences are apparently shareable, and these, I suppose, we call science. And we suppose. Shareable. I mean, look, what, again, you know, do you really believe, do any of you crackheads really believe you're Cleopatra or something, or you're Napoleon? I mean, what exactly about our experiences can't we convey understanding? We all have them, don't we? We all know what it feels like when you put your hand on the stove. We all know what it is to have a broken heart. I mean, let's not pretend here that we can't understand any of this. Please. And these, I suppose, we call science. But I would argue that these experiences have a shallower depth. Yeah, see, you know, he thinks you can go to places in your little fably made-up mind where you're wearing the prom dress and you're the prom queen and all the other people can't have the magical prom queen fantasy. They're not capable of exploring the magic of the super fantastic feeling of being the prom queen. I mean, bullshit. Okay, you're jizzing on top of Mount Everest or jizzing on top of a fucking dog. There's no difference. Okay, it really isn't. There's just your fucking delusions of grandeur and spectacularness. Your sensibilities that make any difference. But we know what the basic drives are. We know what the basic ego mechanism is. So don't keep pretending you're doing some super mega human thing. Fuck. But I would argue that these experiences are a shallower depth to them than they don't tell us whole of the story as an unshared experience. They have a shallower depth to them in that they don't tell, I guess it's us, or thee. Oh, okay, they don't tell as whole a story as an unshared experience. If you get my drift. Wink, wink. Yeah, we're special humans, and all those other silly people don't know how whole we are. Because we're wholer. We're holier than them. We're holier than the other people. We're having holier experiences. Fuck. What a pile of crap. So anyway. Alright, enough of the crap on this video. I'll go back to my super fun and interesting crappy comments. Alright, so here's this Mr. Anonymous guy is a real fucking asshole. So let's read this one. So this one's on a different subject, of Bitcoin. But this is just so typical, these weasels. Mr. Anonymous. I mean, just the idea of Mr. Anonymous. Why do I have to listen to somebody titled Mr. Anonymous? I mean, you can't qualify yourself at all. Do you have any specialties? Do you have any education? Do you have anything that qualifies your fucking rags? Oh, no. Not even an icon. Fail. This is really one of your worst videos ever, Gary. Well, I don't know why you're calling me Gary. You're allowed to be Mr. Anonymous, and you can't even call me by my proper name. Can I just make up a name for you? Mr. Asswipe? There, how's that? Is that a fair exchange? Okay, so Mr. Asswipe, how many sticks do you actually have up your ass? First, Mount Gox does not equal Bitcoin. Well, duh. But the fact is that the brokerages are going to be the whole equation for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is completely dependent on its interaction with the public. If you have to go through 5 million hoops to go get yourself a Bitcoin, then nobody's going to get no Bitcoins. Durr. Mt. Gox was an exchange that failed. Well, it's pretty critical. If you have a bank that fails, well, I guess it doesn't mean the dollar failed. I guess it means bank failed, right? You don't sit there and say, oh, the dollar failed because the bank failed. I have to get that. Alright, back to business and such. Sort of business. Kind of business. So anyway, equals Bitcoin. So the argument is that, like I said, you don't say that the dollar is no good because a bank fails. But you do say banking failed. Okay, you recognize that the banking system isn't too good if you lose all your money, but you put it in a bank. So obviously this is a blow to Bitcoin in the sense that the infrastructure you use to transfer here has been shown to be broken or breakable. That's the only commentary here. So, fuck you. Anyway, Mt. Gox was an exchange that failed. Bitcoin itself didn't. The fact people lost money was a failure of Mt. Gox, not Bitcoin. Well, again, that's like saying, what good is the dollar if the banking system isn't reliable? Again, the dollar doesn't have any meaning after a while. No one's going to trust a dollar if you can't put the dollar in the bank and have any hope of getting it back out again. One doesn't need Mt. Gox or any third party to store one's Bitcoins. Well, that's just bullshit. Okay, you can't just store a Bitcoin. You can't buy it out of nothing. You have to buy it out of something. And so it's just kind of silly to say, you know, that this storage space costs something, yet we are not going to care how you transfer, who transfers the money from a bank into the Bitcoin slot. I mean, of course it matters. The Bitcoin doesn't have any value if there's not a bank account on each side of a transaction. There has to be a bank account on each side of the transaction, or there has to be cash that buys something. So it's just silly to say you don't need any third party. Of course you do. Second, the fact that the number of Bitcoins that will exist is capped means you won't have inflation. Well, again, inflation, you want transaction currencies to inflate. I mean, I explained this in the video. I mean, I'm sorry you're an obnoxious asshole and don't care to listen to anything. That's fine. I explained there's a difference between commodities and paper. Okay, transaction paper. You could almost argue it's like the difference of a stock market and the actual market. And so like people like Warren Buffett now, they're seeing the writing on the wall, and they're basically saying overtly, yeah, when the stock price gets low enough, I'm going to buy the whole business, because you're better off owning something than owning nothing. All right, so all this Bitcoin, the argument being made here is that it has no, if it has value as a commodity, it'll have no value as transaction currency, and vice versa. The whole point of transaction currency is that you don't want to hold it. You don't want to put it under the bed. You don't want to store it. You don't want to turn it into something that has a fluctuating value. Jesus, this isn't that complicated, and for you just to ignore that point, it just proves my point that you're just a fucking petty asshole. Alright? This isn't the best way to do transaction currency. You want to create some sort of market instrument that you play with until the economy fails, fine. But what do you think a Bitcoin is going to be worth when, say, the stock market crashes or we get to a desperate economy? You know, an economy that's back to something, you know, give me something real. I don't want your IOU. I don't want your Confederate money. You don't think people in a desperate economy are going to basically think your Bitcoin is a fucking piece of Confederate money? What does it mean if there's no bank account behind it? If there's no real money somewhere? There's no vault anywhere? Yeah, they're not going to want your fucking Bitcoin. Second, the fact that the numbers of Bitcoins that will exist is capped means you won't have inflation, assuming Bitcoins become more widely adopted with respect to things priced in Bitcoins. Well, again, as Bitcoin has proven, the price can fluctuate merely based on speculator inclinations. So you just created a fake gold-like commodity, limited its production, and taken advantage of the fact that it has this utility as a transfer currency. And so it has some stable value in the sense that it has value as a transfer currency, but obviously at $600 a Bitcoin or whatever the price reached, it was already had preposterously inflated in price, and so it had already demonstrated itself to be just as capable of deflating in price. And I made the distinction that technically somebody using Bitcoin as a transfer medium wouldn't care about the speculators, because their transfer is going to happen before any price changes in the commodity. Obviously the dollar goes up and down every day, but if you make a transaction between one bank and another, the dollar doesn't increase or decrease in value while you do that. So something costing 1 Bitcoin today likely will cost less than 1 Bitcoin tomorrow. Likely you'll inflate the value of it, which just encourages people to hoard more of it, which just turns it into a commodity, and it's a commodity unlike gold that has no durable foundational value. And I'm saying in a desperate economy, this is the last place I'd want my money. I don't want to own Bitcoin if the economy crashes, because nobody's going to touch this stuff. And as this, Grox thing demonstrates, it's all about these brokers. One dishonest broker, and the Bitcoins are all gone. Unlike the USD, which has lost something like 90% of its value since the start of the 20th century. Look up Andres Anthopoulos. No, fuck you. I don't know. What can I tell you? Slip on a banana peel and sustain further brain injury. Because, yes, you're just stupid enough. You're stupid enough to still walk and talk and type crap. But you're not stupid enough to be doing what you really should be doing, which is banging your head against the wall. But anyway, really, fuck you and this obnoxious crap. There was nothing in my video. It was just a straightforward, simple explanation of the fact that the 20th century technology, 21st century technology, offers us an ability to do things we couldn't do 100 or 1,000 years ago, in terms of creating currencies and creating ways of transferring wealth, bartering. It's all barter, asshole. The entire economy's barter. You can barter with contracts, or you can barter with actual commodities. All right? And that's all this is about. That's all this conversation is about. And all you fucking truther lunatics with your crazy dollar, this is the dollar conspiracy, blah, 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 blah. Yes, the dollar has lost its value. But how has that hurt anybody? Have incomes gone up? Yes. So I guess it's that ratio is the only ratio that matters, right, jackass? And again, what value would we have in having a dollar that was shoved in people's mattresses? And then as soon as the economy started to look a little bad, everybody started unzipping the mattresses and flooding the market with dollars, creating inflation at the very time you don't want inflation. So you're a fool and an idiot, and it seems like I shouldn't have to demonstrate it, but I guess I'm the one that's obligated to do it. Alright. So some guy gave me some computer advice. If it turns on, you don't hear dinested, nothing displays on the screen, maybe your video card is crapped out. Yeah, well, I took the video card out. Obviously, it's still crap. F2 keys and escape key. I did all that crap. No, I can't get to the BIOS because it's obviously stalling right somewhere in the post. I mean, it obviously turns the keyboard on, it checks the the hard drive's power up, and then it just farts out. All right. Let's see. This is sort of an interesting little bit here. With the exception of few theories, I have withstood the test of time, since most scientific theories are constantly being amended, refined, or even dropped for completely new theories. Well, I mean, really, what percentage? What percentage of scientific advances have been undone? I mean, even in medical science, you could go back 100 years and hear a lecture, and it would still be damn good stuff. You could listen to Einstein 50 years ago, and it'd be damn good stuff. 99% of it would be right on. Most of Newton, most of Darwin, most of all this, 99% of it is still good. So to say amended and refined or even dropped, how much is really dropped? How many flat Earth, round Earth theories have been dropped? The fact is this progress is solid and directional. Okay, there's no you're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat crap here. When was the last real rabbit trick? When was it? Darwin? I mean, and you could say that at Nietzsche was the point where, we finally declared there's no God. But I mean, Darwin was really the guy who did that. And it's over. Nothing's going to undo evolution, butthead. It's not going to be refined or dropped or a completely new theory. No, none of that shit's going to happen, shithead. You'll change little subtleties about it, little tiny aspects of it, but the foundational statement that we weren't poofed here by a god, that we rose here out of a cellular compound, is a fact. And it's not going to change for 1 billion years or 1 trillion years or 1 zillion years. It's a fucking rock solid fact, and you assholes want to keep playing a game like somehow you're going to come up with some new theory that's going to significantly change one of these facts, and you're not. We landed on the moon because we know what the fuck we're doing, not because we don't know what we're doing. To say that science is an accurate description of reality, to say that science isn't a description of reality. It accurately describes reality. To say that it does do that now is the truth. That's right, our science has become precise, disciplined, careful. I mean, it's become so much better than it was 2,000 years ago, because now we have the thing called evidence, where before all they had was speculation. We have instruments. We can do the experiments. We can do the tests. We even know what a logical test is now. We can do this shit. And we can do it dependably and reliably, and it's just a lie to pretend it's the same science as it was 1,000 years ago. It's not even close to the same kind of process. The standards to achieve status as a theory or a hypothesis, the standards are so much higher. So fuck you. This is just such a pile of crap. Is a bit of a stretch in my opinion. To say that science is an accurate description of reality is a bit of a stretch in my opinion. To say science has accurately described the moon, its history, the Earth's orbits, the solar system, the cosmos, to say that science has done a very good job of detailing this crap, that's a stretch in his opinion. It's all mumbo jumbo. Evolution smevolution. Fuck you. It's more like a best case scenario for the times. Yes, it's all time relevant. That's right. The future's going to figure out that we didn't really evolve, that really it was, a fucking lizard in the corn cob nebula farted, and the little atoms flew all across the universe and landed on Earth and grew into humans. That's your fantasy. That's your fable. Alright, so the hover blubber guy, who I like, but this is kind of a weak response. That appears to be the fashionable view among today's artsy types. In my opinion, neither fair nor accurate description of how science develops. I would have used the progresses, but they would deny the very existence of that sort of thing. Yeah, well, that's a good point to make. It's a linear curve, and it's getting harder and sharper as it linearly grows. The reliability and the dependability of the information being gleaned, it's getting better and better, not worse and worse. The structures are becoming more reliable. The understanding of the basic mechanics is more solid. It's just idiotic to say we're in the same place we were 1,000 years ago. It's just idiotic. Unfair in that it criticizes science on the basis of its standard operating practice. Inaccurate either through ignorance or naughtiness. It's not distinguishing between hypothesis and theory. Well, again, we don't want to get too specific, but the point is that we have standards now where we can judge hypotheses and theories by more than the credibility of the guy who says it. Okay, now we can do tests and we can do experiments and we can do logical experiments. We can understand the whole necessities of what a logical argument requires and all of this stuff. We have much better dissecting tools. Where in the past it was just any story you make up, it has some sort of like, oh, okay, I can sort of make a hokey pokey, and I can sort of make a Gumby, and I can sort of make him fuck hokey pokey, pookie, pokey, whatever the fuck his name was. Treated the same, your statement would be correct, but they are not, so it isn't. Okay, it wasn't as bad a comment as I thought. All right, well, the one I really want to get to, the comment that just says it all. Anticontavat. The truth and the latest truth aren't the same thing, are they? Winky dinky face. So what does one make out of that? Again, Freud, Darwin, Newton, Einstein. I mean, it's just idiotic to say that this stuff isn't solid. That when we discovered the periodic table, when we did all this crap, that this stuff doesn't mean something. It means something. It's you're not going to unfly the plane with all your stupid drivel. You're not going to pull the men off the moon. Okay, you're not going to undo what we know with your latest truth nonsense. There will be no future truth. I promise you. If I could bet $1 zillion on it, I would bet the $1 zillion. There's not going to be. You're not going to have any of your fabled interaction with the beasties of the third kind or any of your other mystical, wonderful adventures. It ain't going to happen. It isn't possible. It doesn't exist. And your idea that the truth isn't what we know it to be, which is we are goddamn bugs, all right, who are just wearing a facade, a costume. We're putting little masks on our face and pretending to be something else, but we're goddamn bugs. I see you, fuckhead. All right, and you're full of shit. You cannot make a comparison about the mistakes of the past, religion, and science. Religion would not land on the moon. God, I have faith in you, God. I'm going to jump really hard. Fly me to the moon, God. Yeah, that won't work. Oh, these people are just so fucking annoying. I don't know if there's anything else in here worth mentioning. Don't know, don't care really. I'm just tired of stupid snarky assholes and tired of silly people who keep talking about how we can't know anything. I mean, all these people do all this work, we develop all of this goddamn knowledge, and these assholes just flush it down the toilet because they don't like where it points. It doesn't make them special, and because it doesn't say in the book of rational understanding that Anticontavat is super special consciousness doing super special magical things, yeah, they'll just throw the whole book in the toilet. So anyway, there's the morbid atheist. Yeah, visit to Brooklyn. Yeah. Piro ought to go to Brooklyn. That would be kind of funny. Piro in Brooklyn with the morbid atheist. That would be a good for his next visit. Yeah, excellent idea. Maybe you could steal one of your turtles. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. You could steal one of your turtles. Anyway, you see, put a computer question here. I had the same problem. Turns out one of my RAM slots burned out, and since I have 4 slots, I ended up using the other 3. Boot the PC to test the slot, and just one RAM. Let me know. Yeah, I did do that already. So yeah, I did pull the RAM, put one back in. Well, I had none in, and I still didn't get a beep. So that was sort of a giveaway. I mean, I should get something with none in, and I got nothing. I put 1 in, and I still got nothing, and then I put 2 in, and I still got nothing. So. No, I think it's like I said, I saw the, the bulging. I like the one good thing they've done is they put markings on the capacitors now, so you can tell when they bulge because the markings change. And but it sort of irritated me because I'm saying, look, they're even anticipating the failure of these components. So they're anticipating their failure by making it visually identifiable when they failed. But it's like, why don't they make them so they don't fail? I mean, this has been a problem for 20 fucking years. I mean, it's time to fix this capacitor problem. I mean, this is really irritating. I mean, I had a ton of really nice Sony video cameras, and they all failed because of capacitors. I mean, it's just, at the time, they're $2,000 cameras. And it's like, yeah, they're failing for these stupid fucking components. I mean, it's just capacitors that probably cost the world more value than, like, Bill Gates. I mean, capacitors are probably a bigger, disgusting failure than Bill Gates. Yeah, more evil than Bill Gates. Somebody should be able to fix this. I mean, I really should become a capacitor scientist. There's got to be a way to make a capacitor that doesn't fail. Anyway, I don't know why this person has such an interest in where I live, but whatever. Yeah, there's 5 cottages. I live in one. They've been in the green one. It's been in videos. That's the one I live in, the greenhouse. Whatever. So anyway, yeah, some kind of fascination with Piro. Hey, Beardy Man, I haven't seen him in a while. Pallet extension is acceptable. Stomping on my tubes, not so much. Tubes of paint. Oh, I get that. Well, whatever. I don't know this distinction. It's not my place. Yeah, as a moose, it's not my place to try to figure out all of that complexity of the difference between making some colors and ruining colors. So, but whatever. I just don't get the. I can't figure it. It's too complex. Too high maintenance. Yeah, as a girlfriend, you're just too high maintenance. But whatever. Theoretically, it doesn't matter, I suppose. I mean, I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing. We seem to be doing the things okay-ish, so apparently we can live without each other. It's okay. I'll move on. So I don't know. Anything else? Yeah, that's probably enough. I'm tired anyway. You're probably tired now too, right? It's really, I really should read the entire Do in the Morning comment because she's just so rude. So anyway, but I'm not going to bother. Just forget about it. I'm just so sick of these petty people defending petty people. Oh, wait a minute. Petty people defending petty people. Oh, that sort of makes sense. Damn. Alright, anyway. Till next time.